So good morning and good afternoon to everyone. I hope you're having a great week. For those who may not know me, my name is Linda Williams, and I am the account supervisor for Moto Media on the Apricot Lane account. And myself and Lauren, who you will be hearing from here in a couple minutes, we have been working behind the scenes very diligently over the last, probably over the last 3 months or so, to really put together kind of a comprehensive guide for you, a how-to guide for each module. And because there's a lot of content, we kind of broke up each webinar to a different social media channel. So last week we did Facebook. This week we're actually doing Twitter instead of Pinterest. As many of you may know, in the social media world, the rules change, and they change sometimes quite drastically and quite quickly. So we are in the process of capturing some of the significant changes made to Pinterest, and we'll be then back on board with that webinar the week after Thanksgiving for that. So just an FYI on that. And then just wanted to let you know that after the webinar, and Teresa will speak to this at the end, you will be provided with all of the presentation materials, the PowerPoint. You'll get the actual social media guide. So the presentation is just a snapshot. The guide is much longer, and we really go in depth. So some of the things that you'll see Lauren demos, we did on Facebook, a lot more demoing on Facebook, but those are captured in the manual, which is, again, a step-by-step instruction. And some you already know, so we're aware that, everyone has, different skill level, but we feel that this is kind of a really good platform to start with. So let's say maybe you're really familiar with social media, but let's say you want your store manager, you want someone on your team to take over, and maybe they need to be brought up to speed. So the intent is to really, again, address kind of just foundational and fundamental skills. And then we are all ears if there are topics that you would like to see covered, and we have already captured some of those already. We are going to be producing an advanced module that will roll out after the first of the year. So some of the advanced Facebook skills that you might need. So if there's things that you haven't seen or like to see after this webinar, any of the webinars, just, again, shoot us an email and say, hey, I'd like to see this, and we can add that to the next module. So and I'm also recording this for playback, so if someone on your team wasn't able to attend and you want to send that to them, that will be available as well. So in terms of housekeeping, I just wanted to ask everyone if everyone could mute their phones, because sometimes we have a lot of background, and then just, if you can, hold your questions to the end, and then we have a section at the end where we'll have the question and answer. So with that, I'm going to hand off to Lauren, who is going to be your social media driver today.
All right, hello franchisees, and thanks for joining us for the second installment of our Social Media 101 webinar series. Like Linda said, we do apologize for the quick change of information being presented today, but it's really in your best interest that we provide you with the latest and greatest from Pinterest, so we'll have that set for you here in the next couple weeks. And also, we do hope you left last week's Facebook webinar with some key takeaways and inspiration so you can continue growing your social media platform. And similar to last week, after this webinar, I'm going to field any and all questions you might have regarding Twitter, and I will also be sending out a moving forward cheat sheet that will shorten what I discussed today and simplify all the information so you can go ahead and implement it into your current social media strategy. But before we jump into the webinar, I did want to address a common Twitter situation that many franchisees are currently facing. Before the launch of the e-com site, we had asked that each of the franchises at least have a Twitter account created and then linked up to their Facebook page so that you don't have to post, but you have a feed coming from Facebook. And while this is a great option for those who aren't as comfortable with the Twitter platform or who don't feel they have the bandwidth to actually do daily postings, we really hope that this webinar gives you the knowledge and confidence to integrate Twitter into your posting schedule and content calendar on a regular basis. And through my research over the past couple of days, I did notice that some people don't actually have Twitters up and running yet. So after today, I hope you'll be able to create your account. And in the module, you'll have a step-by-step for how to link your Facebook up to your Twitter as well. So once it's created, you can go ahead and transition over. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what's on the docket for today. First, we're going to talk about how to build your Twitter and navigate it. We're going to talk about the anatomy of a tweet, the art of tweeting, and how to amplify your store's presence through cross-pollination, contests, and flash sales. So to get started, let's go ahead and talk about why we use Twitter in our marketing platforms. As of today, 70% of small businesses are using Twitter as a way to reach out to their current and future customers. And on that same page, 85% of those customers are saying they feel more connected to a brand or business once they're able to follow them on Twitter. And this closeness that consumers are feeling is coming from mastering your brand's tone of voice and creating that engaging and exclusive content that followers are only going to receive when they are following you on Twitter. And so we're going to dive into all those aspects today. And next, we're going to want to look at the demographics of Twitter and how they are in favor of Apricot Lane in our target market. So currently there are 52.7 million Twitter users in the U.S. alone, and 50% of those users are women. So on a broad scale, that's essentially 26.3 million potential Apricot Lane customers. And as each franchise begins promoting their Apricot Lane with their affiliate code and their in-store product on Twitter, it's important to know that 60% of Twitter users are more likely to buy from the brands that they follow, whether that's in-store or online. So posting daily is important. And 40% of consumers who follow a brand on Twitter are also more likely to visit the business's website. And in turn, they become paying customers to the new Apricot Lane e-com site. So we know why we use Twitter, and we know the statistics that support this platform and its success. So let's talk about those key elements that are going to make up your Twitter profile. And as we begin to talk about the essential elements.
Lauren, I'm sorry, I just wanted to pipe in here really quick. If anybody wants to create a Twitter account, please contact corporate first, and we'll help you set this up as well. We want to make sure that all the naming and everything is consistent across the board. So we want to make sure that we're helping you guys create these Twitter accounts.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so as I begin to talk about the essential elements that are going to make up your Twitter profile, the Twitter headquarters actually released this quote that I think perfectly sums up the importance of collaborating all the elements that will be provided on your Twitter. And that's design every element of your profile to best reflect your business. Your name, bio, website, and profile picture should all work together to tell your story. So taking that, we're going to go ahead and talk about the profile picture. And this is very closely related to the essential elements of your franchise's Facebook page. So we recommend doing your best to have your essential elements mirror your other platforms, so Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. And that way, when customers are trying to organically locate you on social media, they're able to easily recognize the association between each page and know they're in the correct place. So just like Facebook, you're going to choose a profile picture that's strongly associated with the Apricot Lane brand. And you can even use the exact same profile image from Facebook. You just want to make sure that when you upload it, it doesn't become pixelated or distorted. So, and I forgot to mention this last week, but I am going to enforce this week. But Country Vision does want us to remind our franchisees that you want to be in compliance with brand regulations. And your profile picture should not have your location's name or their address on it. You just want the simple Apricot Lane logo with the background color of your choice or the background that fits the current promotion. All right. Next, we're going to have the background image. And the background image offers a large-scale space for branding and helps set the tone for your Twitter page. And much like Facebook and their cover photos, they're really easily uploaded and really dominate the above the fold area of your Twitter. It's also referred to as a cover photo, but in order to avoid confusion when doing comparisons between Facebook and Twitter, I am going to use the term background image. And just like Facebook, this image should relate to an upcoming or running campaign, seasonal inspiration, an image of your store's employees, or a picture of the inside of your store. Unfortunately, right now, Twitter and Facebook cover photos are actually different sizes. So if you try to use the same image, the Twitter image will become kind of distorted and messy because it has a panoramic shape to it. This is a very common problem that I've noticed a lot of franchisees have encountered. So in the cheat sheet that I'll be sending out, I am going to include some websites that allow you to create product collages and cover photos for your background. But I also spoke with Linda, and in the marketing Wix site, we will now be including under assets for promotion the Twitter background image. All right, and then next for your bio, you're actually only given 140 characters, which is the same amount allowed for a tweet, to describe not only who you are as the Apricot Lane brand, but as a franchise as well. So you want to be clear and informative, but also have fun with it. So I pulled two examples. One is actually from my test site, and I did a more traditional bio that I kind of molded from the Apricot Lane boutique page. And it says, Apricot Lane is a specialty retail boutique that offers the latest in women's fashions, and then I also included the email address to reach us at. And then next to that, you're going to see Apricot Lane Omaha, and they kind of put their own twist on it, made it more friendly and more inclusive. And there it says, family-owned boutique located in Omaha. We carry high fashions that won't break your bank. New arrivals daily. So these are two options you have. Obviously, you don't want to get too cutesy with it, but having your own personal touch on it is a really great way to connect with customers. And the last part of your bio section is going to be your contact information. And here's where you're going to include the URL to your e-com site and make sure your affiliate code is attached to that. You're going to include the address to your location. And we do recommend having either an email or a phone number available. Unfortunately, there's no designated spot for that. So I recommend leaving a spot open in your actual bio to include either the phone number or the email address. All right, so now that you know the 4 basic elements that you need to have done and that corporate's actually going to help you create, let's go ahead and kind of look at the elements of the profile and show you how to navigate it correctly. So I'm going to be using Apricot Lane Center Valley as an example here today. So when you first look at your Twitter profile, in the middle of the screen, you're going to see how many tweets you've actually tweeted out, how many people you're following, how many followers you have, and how many people have favorited a tweet that you've sent out. This is great for monitoring. We constantly do monitor our fans on Facebook, and I do recommend doing the same on your Twitter. And then as you go up into the top right-hand corner, up here you have the tweet button with the quill pen. You go ahead and click into that. It'll allow you to compose a new tweet, add the photo, and once you've typed in your 140 characters, you can go ahead and tweet that out. Right next to the tweet button, we do have kind of your home base. It's going to be where you need to go to view your profile, any help, keyboard shortcut settings, and your log out. And then as we head over to the left side, we've got the home button here, and that's going to take you to your news feed, which is very similar to a Facebook news feed, and it shows all the tweets from Twitter users that you follow. We then have notifications, and notifications are great because they're going to alert you to when someone's mentioned you in a tweet, retweeted one of your previous tweets, favorited something, or followed you. Messages is a new tool they've actually instituted, and that allows you to direct message and start a private conversation with anyone who follows you. So if someone has a question about a product and the conversation is getting more detailed than a reply, you can go ahead and direct message them. And lastly, we have the Discover, and when you click into Discover, you're going to go ahead and see on the side the top trending hashtags over here on the left, tweets that are tailored to who you follow, and you can also search hashtags up here. All right. So getting back into the presentation here. Now that you're versed in like the fundamentals of your Twitter profile, you should be able to navigate it like a pro. It's got a very simple layout. I would say one of the easiest to follow out of all the social media mediums. So we can go ahead and get into the real reason we're here, which is learning how to tweet. And we're going to do that by breaking down the anatomy of a tweet, starting with the elements that surround each 140-character message that you're sending out to your followers. So first, and most agreeably the most important element of tweeting, is the hashtag. And simply put, a hashtag is a # immediately followed by a keyword, and it's used to categorize topics on social media, including trending topic hashtags such as fashion, love, fall, and brand hashtags such as #Apricot Lane Center Valley. In your tweets, they're going to make your post more discoverable to new fans who are going to have similar interests as your target market. Overall, using hashtags in your post can actually double your online engagement, which is a huge deal. So if you think about it, you can go from having 8 retweets to 20 retweets, and all it takes is a simple hashtag or two. The example that I have pulled up here is from Apricot Lane Dallas, and they've done a combination of both. So they have the Apricot Lane hashtags as well as a general trending topic of fashion. So these are really important, and in the module we've gone through and given a greater detailed explanation of the hashtag and how to use it appropriately in your tweeting. The next element that you're going to want to know about is the mention. And sometimes you may want to bring a tweet to someone's attention, but you still want all of your followers to see the message. So instead of replying, you're going to use a mention, and that's the @ symbol followed by the user's handle name. It's similar to how you would highlight and make someone's name clickable in a Facebook post. Whoever you want to mention in your tweet, you're just going to go ahead and use the @ symbol, and it will appear in the mention section, which is in the Connect tab. And all username mentions are clickable and actually link back to that person's profile. And so that makes it really great for announcing winners of contests and providing shout-outs to other brands or companies that we've been working with. And the last tweeting element that you need to know about is the link. And Twitter actually has a link shortening feature. So that's great for allowing you to paste a link of any length into that tweet box, and it's actually going to automatically shorten it for you to 19 characters. And this makes it a lot easier to fit those long URLs into that character limit. So if there is a related link available for the topic you're tweeting about, especially if it's going to mention new products, always, always, always attach it. This provides your fans with a call to action and directs them to where they can actually purchase that product, which is the end goal of the tweet. So moving on, I want to just kind of talk about the button options that are at the bottom of a tweet. And first we have that reply button. And you can respond to a tweet by hitting the reply button, and when you do that, your response is made public and will actually show up in your home timeline and the timeline of the person to whom you're responding. And the reply will also be visible in the home timelines of people who follow both you and the person who sent the reply. So it's a really great way to gain some organic reach. You're always going to want to reply when customers tweet about you for your Apricot Lane location. Regardless of how many customers follow you, when customers retweet a contest or tag you in a post or post a picture of a product from your store, you really want to thank them for promoting your brand with just a quick reply. I would say if you never forget that you started with 0 followers, you should always strive to thank those who got you where you are today. All right, next we have the infamous retweet. And this feature is going to allow you to pass along either a customer's tweet that they stated about you or allow customers to retweet contests or tweets that you sent out. While we don't recommend that you retweet every post that's written about your Apricot Lane location, it is in best practice to occasionally retweet your customers' comments about your company. It shows humanity and gratitude for those who are brand loyal. And the examples that I have here are a retweet of a contest from a customer, as well as a retweet from Apricot Lane of something a customer posted about them, helping them pick out their Valentine's Day outfit. Okay, so now that we're familiar with the key aspects of a tweet, we can actually dive into the art of tweeting. And while the art of tweeting might seem very basic, those 140 characters actually hold a lot of power and can make a significant difference in your store's growth. So we can go ahead and start with Twitter's recommended best practices, and we'll move on from there. So best practice number 1. Even though you are given 140 characters to create your message, the ideal length of a tweet is 100 characters. So a recent report by Bundy Media revealed that Twitter tweets shorter than 100 characters actually have a 17% higher engagement rate. And as a retail business, getting those retweets on posts about new products and sales and important information is key for gaining those followers. So a good way to think about it would be the average Twitter user has 200 followers, and for every customer who retweets your original tweet, there's going to be 200 more potential customers viewing your sale or your promotion or your new product. So following these best practices is going to be key. All right, best practice number 2, you have to tell your followers what to do. This kind of comes off as a very aggressive and maybe obvious practice, but it's extremely important to remember. So if people are following you, or even if they're not following you, but they find you from a keyword search with those handy hashtags we talked about earlier, you have to tell people what to do in your tweet, whether that's to click a link or watch a video. Don't assume that people are just going to click into something. Customers are looking for direction. I always say include a verb that's going to lead them to look at your photo or watch a video or view your website. And in this example, it says, check it out. This is a simple verb, but it makes sure people realize that there is a link involved. So you can also say, shop now, click here, buy now, join now. Any way to drive the traffic in. And best practice number 3, approach the same tweet at different angles. So as a franchisee, you release new products in store, and then the e-com site releases new products on a daily basis. So it's really important to come up with 3 or 4 different ways to let your Twitter followers know about new products throughout the day without repeating yourself and becoming kind of a nuisance on their Twitter feed. So the example that I provided shows Apricot Lane, Wichita, and there are 3 different approaches of promoting the same shipment in one day. So on the bottom, they singled out one item and talked about how you can purchase this really great fall item. In the middle, they talk about it as a seasonal shipment. So are you ready for back to school? We just got all these great trends in. And on the top, they did a get prepared post. They said, you know, it's time to start shopping for sweaters. Look what we just got in. And all 3 of these are different ways of promoting essentially the same thing, but by separating these tweets out, they're also reaching a different demographic each time of the day. So in the morning, you're going to hit the early bird. In the middle of the day, you're going to get that lunchtime social media user who's on their break and just checking things out. And at the end of the day, you're going to get the commuter who's on their way home on the bus, train, in car, whatever that may be, they're checking their Twitter. And the last best practice is to keep clutter to a minimum. As I said before, Twitter's research does show that hashtags have a significant advantage to them, and brands can see a huge increase in engagement and retweets when they use them. However, you don't want to overkill each of your tweets with an abundance of hashtags. They really clutter up your tweet and make it hard for users to read. So instead of using a plethora of hashtags and breaking up your sentence with them, use up to 3 trending hashtags, and instead use those characters to tell us more about the product. And this idea is actually further backed up by Buddy Media's research that I referenced earlier that shows that the volume of hashtags really needs to be monitored, and they're stating that 1 or 2 hashtags is really the max, and that when you use more hashtags, your engagement actually starts to drop at an average of 17%. Whereas if you use just those 1 to 2, you're going to actually be rewarded with 21% higher engagement. So that's why I say 3, go ahead and throw in our brand hashtag apricot lane, and then 2 trending topic hashtags. So in short, absolutely use those hashtags, just use them wisely. All right, so now that you've got a real solid foundation of those best practices, let's go ahead and talk about how to properly present your tweets using a curated brand voice. So when you're talking about a brand voice, a lot of times people associate a character or persona with that. So who does your apricot lane franchise want to sound like? Well, a lot of times you're going to want to sound like your target audience. An apricot lane customer, she's a lover of all things fashion. She's energetic, she's young at heart, she's strong, she's beautiful. So really think about your ideal customer when you're tweeting out to your customers. Who would they hang out with? Who would they talk to? Be a friend to them. Language is a big part of defining your brand voice. We like to present ourselves as an expert in fashion and retail, but you don't want to come off sounding like you're smarter than your customers. It really turns people off. So really establish the appropriate brand language, and really think about the words, phrases, and jargon that you're using when you're communicating with those customers. And lastly, your tone. When you're writing on behalf of Apricot Lane, we do recommend that you have that friendly and casual tone of voice, and everyone has been really great at that. I wouldn't say that anyone stands out. As a retailer of trendy and affordable women's fashions, you want your customers to feel as though they can approach any associate of your brand with questions or concerns regarding style and product. And remember to just always be humble and welcoming. It goes a lot further in your customer service, which then leads to brand loyalty. All right, and the last aspect of the art of tweeting, we do want to talk about integrating rich media into your tweets. So just like Facebook, you do want to create a dynamic experience for your users and your audience. So you want to include different types of media, such as images, videos, and links. Just like on Facebook, posts that contain photos are more engaging for Twitter users, and tweets with images actually have an increased click-through rate of 18%. So always try to include those in there. Videos, that's a tricky one. Videos are not really a common source of rich media for Apricot Lane. However, when you have them, attach them because they're a great way to increase engagement with current and potential customers. So some examples of videos that would be worth tweeting would be an Apricot Lane store event that you've had filmed, trending fashion events, big store announcements. Maybe pull together your team and have them make the announcements in a video, and video contest entries if you ever decide to do a contest based around that. And lastly, links. It really cannot be stressed enough to always attach a link to your tweet. You can't really assume that a customer is going to know where to purchase a product or find you on other sites or participate in a contest. And so these links are going to drive up your engagement and click-through rates, which essentially result in a greater online social media presence and higher traffic, both online and in your store. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the fun stuff. And we're going to talk about contests, giveaways, flash sales, and free product offerings. start with contests. A great way to engage your current and potential customers is to ask them to participate in Twitter contests. So the example that I have here, we have them asking to reply to a tweet and tell us which boots are their favorite. And then the second one right here, we have them asking them to tweet a picture with us tagged in it, talking about their favorite clothing piece that they've picked out. So by asking customers to either tweet a photo or provide an opinion, they're going to feel more connected to your brand, and then they're more likely to become more loyal to your location and also become a prominent follower of your social media platform. Some best practices that I do want to talk about for contests, though. Remember to recognize each of your participants. So whether you retweet their post or reply with a comment thanking them, just make sure you acknowledge that you saw their entry. And second, Twitter contests really can range anywhere from 1 day to 1 week, but it's important to decide that beforehand, plan it out, and put it on your content calendar. And I sent over the template last week, but I'll resend again on this upcoming webinar. All right, the next we have giveaways. And these give your customers a really good incentive to retweet your post and gain word of mouth, gain word of mouth appeal by offering spontaneous giveaways. Whether that's a gift card for a small amount of money or a boot giveaway, something more expensive. These spontaneous giveaways are a really great way to get people in store and shopping with you. The two examples I used are from Apricot Lane Dallas, and they actually just gave out $10 gift cards, which is a really small amount to pay for a high amount of traffic. So another thing to remember on these giveaways, though, is it's really important to plan these out on your content calendar in advance. However, these contests only run for a couple hours on a day-to-day basis, so they give the illusion of spontaneity, but really they're planned out in advance so you know what money is being put where for giveaways. The next form of promotions that we recommend integrating into your Twitter strategy are going to be flash sales. And flash sales are a really great way to train your customers to check your social media platform on a daily basis. And if you're really consistent with promoting your flash deals, you are going to find an increase in repeat customers. You can determine how many times a week you tweet them out, but we recommend about 1 to 3 times a week coming up with like a cute name for your daily deals. So I've been working with Apricot Lane Center Valley, and they've been promoting their happy hours. So that's why I thought I would share an example of one of their happy hours. And the best practice is really to make the deal more specific than a store-wide sale. So by limiting your deal to a clearly identified product and time frame, you're going to increase foot traffic but avoid a significant loss in revenue. So the example here is 20% off all sweaters from 4 to 8 p.m. All right. And the last way to engage customers with your product offerings is to offer the free product when you promote in-store sales. And this is something that you don't have to do very frequently, but it can be a fun idea. And this small gesture can really actually make or break whether or not a customer decides to shop that day. So if you're really trying to push out products and you have these hair ties or something you're willing to give away for a product purchase over a certain amount of money, this can be a really great way to boost your sales. All right, and last but surely not least, we do want to talk about cross-pollinating your Twitter with your franchise's other social media sites. And there's actually 2 approaches that can be used to cross-pollinate your tweets with your other social media platforms. And the first is a direct approach. And in the direct approach, your tweet is going to just outright ask followers to check out other social media sites and like them. Always provide a link for this tweet. Followers are not going to look up your Facebook page if you ask them to like it. It's your job to put the brand in front of them. So just make sure when you say, come follow us on Facebook, find out the newest deals and trends in store. Just attach that link with it and maybe an image as well if you have one. And then we have the indirect approach, which is probably going to be more frequent. And so say you've already posted a photo on Instagram or Facebook and you're going to now post it on Twitter, go ahead and include the link as a link from your Facebook account or a link from your Instagram account. And that way, when they read your tweet and then they click through, it's going to actually take them to your other social media platforms, which gives them an opportunity to like or follow you there. All right, and with that, we're actually going to conclude our Twitter webinar. I'm sorry that was a little bit more brief, but I wanted to get the more fundamental aspects of Twitter out there so we can get everyone set up. And then the advanced modules will go into the analytics side, as well as promotions and paid advertising on Twitter. But I will now field any questions you may have, as well as Linda will be involved too.
Don't be shy. Any questions, comments, things you'd like to, that you didn't see, you'd like to see in the next webinar? Wow, we have a silent group here today. Well, I'll let Terza speak really briefly on her side of collecting all of the assets that we have been delivering for Facebook, which was last week and now this week, and how you are going to be able to access not only the PowerPoint, but the actual social media guide. Lauren has done also a cheat sheet just to kind of, again, a quick at a glance get you going. And last week we also put together a sample content calendar that you could use for December. So, Terza, do you have an update on that?
Yeah, so currently what we're doing is we're working with Cambio right now to set up some tabs for everybody to access easily the recording as well as the Social Media 101 PDF files that you are flowing through to us. We will be sending out the PowerPoint slideshows to everybody, but because the recording is so big, we are going to have to host it on Cambio. So we'll just need about a week or so, I think, to maybe two, to get that up and loaded onto Cambio.
Okay, because those mighty persons are coming Saturday. We just need to go to the mailbox.
Anybody have any questions?
Okay, we haven't been
If anyone needs to get help set up.
Yeah, so basically for any of your social media, if you want a new Pinterest, and this will go across the board, I mean, we will be happy to help you like we did with Facebook when you first opened. We will be happy to help you set up a Twitter, Instagram, or Pinterest account so you guys can start posting if you're interested in any of those. Again, you know, if you do set one up, please let us know so we can, at least if you didn't have one on your store website, we can at least start it feeding into your store website. In order to keep the name and brand consistency across the board for all of your social media, we'd be happy to help you sit down and plan out how you want to name everything.
All right. Well, if anyone has any questions or comments, and feel free to send that to myself, Linda W. at modamedia.com, or Lauren, which is Lauren S. at modamedia.com, and we'll definitely follow up with you. Again, you know, the good, bad, and the ugly. Tell us what you liked, what you'd like to see, or if any questions that you have. So. And then the next webinar, we're going to take a break next week, and then we're going to pick up the following week with Pinterest. And then the last again to distribute that to your team members. All right. Well, everyone, I appreciate everyone attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.